I just built these simple storage drawers for my mobile workbench. The best part is, you don't need fancy tools or expensive drawer slides to build these yourself. Let me show you how I did it. I had this 3/4 inch plywood left over from another cabinet project. Since it's 19 inches, that's how deep this cabinet's going to be. First, I measured the height, then cut the sides to 26 inches. That was a little tight, so now that the pieces are more manageable, I cut them to fit on the table saw. That's better. Now that they actually fit, I cut a rabbet on each one for the rear end panel. I like to cut a straight line on the table saw, then clean up the rest with the router. Then I cut strips of some scrap 1x material for the drawer guides. You could also use strips of plywood for these, but I had this lying around. I pre-drilled 3 holes in each slide using a countersink bit. Each drawer needs 2 slides per side. One goes on the bottom for the drawer to ride on, and one goes on the top to keep the drawer from tipping. I like to leave about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of play around the drawer so it can move freely. This is the most important step of the whole project. You have to make sure each one of these is level and lined up with the opposite side. I started with the bottom slide since that will sit flat against the bottom of the cabinet. I used wood glue and 1 1/4 inch construction screws to attach each guide to the side panel. Then I used some 1/4 inch plywood as a spacer to make sure the guides are evenly spaced for the 1/2 inch plywood drawer. For the rest of them, I square up the 2 sides and draw a line across both with a T-square. The height of each guide is based on the depth of each drawer. 10 inch for the bottom drawer, 6 inch for the middle, and 4.5 for the top. Then I repeat the same process with the spacers to install the rest of the guides. To attach the cabinet to the workbench, first I make sure the sides are square and level, then mark them in place so I can pre-drill the holes in the bottom of the bench. Now I can attach the sides to the 2x4s under the top of the bench using 1 5/8 construction screws. And flip the bench over so I can attach the bottom with some more screws. With the sides installed, I can start cutting up my plywood for the rear panel and the drawers. I only bought 1 sheet of 1/2 inch sanded plywood, so hopefully I don't mess up too many cuts and I have enough material to finish this project. Fortunately, I was able to get all the pieces for the drawers and the back panel cut from a single sheet. I'm only using a handful of brad nails to hold the back panel on, just in case I want to move these drawers at some point in the future. I'm using rabbet joints for the back of the drawer boxes, so I cut a 1/4 inch rabbet in both sides and the rear of each box. The bottom of the drawer is wider than the box, so it can act as a slide on the drawer guides. I started by gluing and brad nailing each side of the drawer to the bottom about 7/8 of an inch from the edge. Then I glued and brad nailed the back into place, and finished up with the front. I cut the fronts as wide as the cabinet so they would cover up the plywood edge and act as a drawer stop. I'm just face nailing them, but that should be plenty strong with the wood glue. And now the drawer is just about finished. I repeated this process with the other 2 drawers. Now I have a decision to make. I can cut a handhold in each drawer or add a pull. I want to keep as much dust as possible out of these things, so I'm opting for the pulls. I'm just making a simple 6-inch handle out of a scrap 2x4. I started by ripping it down to 1 3/8 at a 15-degree angle on the table saw. Then I cut a 5/8 inch square out of the back to finish the handle. I cut them down to 6 inches and sanded them smooth. To install the handles, I measured the center point of each drawer, then drilled 2 holes about 1.5 inches off the center line. I also pre-drilled the handles so they wouldn't crack. Then installed them with 1.25 inch screws. All that's left now is to fill them up. The only thing I regret is not building these sooner. This was super easy to build, and now I know exactly where my tools are, as long as I put them back when I'm done. As far as this workbench goes, I still absolutely love this thing. It's made my projects and builds go so much smoother. Next, I have to figure out what to do with all these longer tools like clamps, a saw guide, T-square, and straight edge. Let me know if you have any ideas for bench storage, or I'll probably just end up hanging them on the wall. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and good luck to you on your next project.